Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the GWOTFOB podcast, brought to you by Combat Outpost Robinson. That's doing great things for our veterans, and I'm your host, Jim Robinson. And today we've got Navy veteran Joe Burdick. He's going to be here to talk a little bit about a bill that he got some help with here in the state of Ohio, to honor our fallen at Abbey Gate during the 2021 withdrawal. So, Joe, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I've been following your work for a pretty good while now, so it's an honor to have you on.
Thank you.
Would you give us a little bit of background about, what was life like as a kid, where you grew up, and how you ended up in the Navy, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, so I grew up in Lakewood, Ohio.
Okay.
The mean streets of Lakewood. It's a suburb of Cleveland. There was nothing spectacular about Lakewood, just a little suburb. I have a family that served. My grandfather, World War II. My great grandfather, World War I. Some uncles in Vietnam. I wanted to go to college, and my parents couldn't afford it. So I got inspired by this movie. I don't know if you heard of it, Top Gun. And
Oh, yeah.
and I fell in love with naval aviation thanks to that movie. And
Right.
that's why I joined the Navy, and I wanted to work on airplanes, and I loaded bombs on F-18s, and I loved every minute of it.
Awesome. Did you ever get to do any flying?
When I was getting out of the Navy, I got to do a cat shot. They were
cool.
trying to keep me in. So they offered me a cat shot in a TF-18, a trainer, and I got to do that. But other than that, I was just a crewman, an ordnanceman.
Right.
But I did get to do the cat shot, which was pretty exciting.
I would imagine that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about pinning you back.
Yeah.
All
Sure
right.
did.
Well, I want to start off by thanking you, first off, for your hard work and dedication on walking that bill through the House and the Senate. I mean, you never gave up. You made the right connections. And the most important thing is you made it happen. And I have been working with members of the state legislature for years. And I'll tell you, that's not what you did is not an easy task.
Yeah. Well, it was meeting the right people at the right time. And first, I want to thank you for your son's sacrifice.
Thank you.
I want to know more about your son, but I wanted to thank you for, his service and his sacrifice. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah. So, but yeah, my bill I'm very proud of what I was able to do in really a short amount of time. I mean, when I think about it, though, it was a 4.5 year process, but really the bill was only introduced this past year. So, but yeah, I'm pretty proud of it.
You should be, because, like I said, 4 years to get something through, number one, it shouldn't take that long. But like you said, once you got it in front of the right people and got it moving, it did move fairly quickly. So congratulations on that.
Well, the whole process didn't take, that's 4.5 years ago was when, the whole Abbey Gate thing happened.
Right.
And I met the Soviak family. I don't know if you wanted to get into this right now.
Sure.
But yeah, so through my business, I had Marilyn Soviak reach out to me September of 2021. And Marilyn asked me if she could buy, I make those wooden flags behind me. She asked me if she could buy one for her brother's funeral. And I responded back to her, absolutely not, but I will give you one.
Right.
Because I wasn't going to try to make any money off a Gold Star family. So I said, yeah, I'd be happy. I have one available. I can bring it to you. They're from Ohio, from Berlin Heights.
Right.
And she said, no, actually, my dad and we need to get out of the house. We'll come get it. And I said, all right, well, if you want to come by tomorrow, I'll be home. And her and Kip Soviak came to my house. Kip is Maxton Soviak's father. Maxton was one of the 13 that was killed at Abbey Gate.
Right.
So they came over to my house the next day, and they got, they got the flag, and they invited me to the funeral, but Max's body hadn't been released yet, so they didn't even know when the funeral was going to be. So
Right.
that's really when the process started, because I became friends with the family, and I wanted to do whatever I could. In the beginning, it was for the foundation. They eventually started a foundation, and I
Right.
wanted to help raise money.
Right.
But yeah, that's where it originally started, meeting Kip and Marilyn, and I've become friends with the Soviak family, since then.
Right. And it's my understanding that you've also met a few of the other families as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So I met Rachel Soviak. It was almost a year after Max's funeral. I met her at a local gala that I go to and contribute to every year. And I was standing there. I had my son with me. I always try to take one of my kids to something because I want them to see why I love
Absolutely.
the military so much.
Absolutely.
It's not because, we're warmongers or whatever, but it's because, we raised our right hand and, we volunteered to serve,
Right.
unless, of course, they were drafted in Vietnam. But
Right.
I want my kids to know why I love my fellow veterans the way I do. So I brought my son to this event, and Max was actually being honored at this event. And I met Rachel, and she saw my son, and I could tell, she was a grieving mom, and she just was loving on my son, hugging him. She hugged him multiple times and commented how handsome he was and all that. And, when we were done talking, I said, Rachel, if you ever need anything for the foundation, let me know, and I'd be happy to donate whatever you want. And she said,
Right.
Joe, all I want is for you to help me keep Max's memory alive. And I said, you know what,
Absolutely.
Rachel? Absolutely. I'll do whatever I can.
Right.
And that started the whole thing in motion, because in my head, I was like, how can I keep Max's memory alive? Besides donating flags, wearing his T-shirt or whatever, mentioning him
Right.
wherever I go. But that started it. And then my kids and I think it was the following year in 2023, I got invited to the Charlotte, the Coca-Cola 400, the NASCAR
Okay.
race.
Yeah. That's a blast.
Yeah. So Corey LaJoy invited me down there, one of the
Nice.
drivers.
Yeah.
So, we got the whole VIP experience, which was pretty amazing. But we were in his garage, and one of his people introduced me to this guy sitting there, this guy and his daughter-in-law or whatever, and a little baby. And I said, hey, how you doing? I didn't think anything of it. And then, hey, how you doing? My name is Jim, blah, blah, blah. So then my son and it was actually, this is Jim McCollum. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? Joe Burdick,
Right.
and then I was on the track later. And then I'm looking at Corey LaJoy's car, and right over or on the door, it said Riley McCollum. And I was like, oh, man, I just met his dad.
Right.
And, I didn't even realize it. And I felt bad. So I actually sent him I'm sorry?
I said there was a few years there where a couple of drivers was putting names of the fallen on their cars.
Mm-hmm. Well, I felt so bad that I didn't properly introduce myself and thank him for his son's sacrifice. I sent him a message on Facebook, and I'm like, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize till later that, you were Riley's dad.
Right.
I apologize. And he's like, Joe, don't worry about it. So,
Yeah.
so I met him. I started a podcast, my own podcast, Just Talking with Joe Burdick. And I reached out to Cheryl Rex. She is the mother of Dylan Marola, and we did 2 podcasts together. You know, the first one she introduced, you know, basically who Dylan was. And then we
Right.
did another one about her dignified transfer experience, which it was horrible. There was nothing dignified about it.
That's terrible.
Yeah. And then I did another podcast with Shanna Chappell. Shanna was she is the mother of Kareem Nakui,
Okay.
and we did the same thing, and we talked about everything, who Kareem was, and the dignified transfer. Again, there was nothing dignified with what she went through also. And then you know, I met Dagan Page's mom and stepfather. I met Jared Schmitz's mom. She actually lives here in Ohio now. And I did a
Okay.
podcast with Jared's dad, Mark Schmitz. So probably about half of the families I've communicated with in some way.
Well, I mean, that's good because, you know, as being part of the Gold Star community myself, it's not easy to make that connection with a Gold Star family member. We kind of stay to ourselves. At least the ones that I know of around this area. You know, they don't get out in the limelight. You know, they don't. You know, they're not easy to make friends with because they just don't want to. I guess that's the best way I can explain it. So, the fact that you was able to make that connection with so many of them, that's pretty good.
Yeah, there's actually several that I've reached out to that haven't.
Right.
Well, and I've talked to Kelly Barnett also. Her friend was her friend. I'm sorry, her son was Taylor Hoover.
Okay.
A lot of them, though, probably the other half really haven't said much to me other than
Right.
thanking me
Right.
for what I do for their kids. But other than that, I mean, I don't want to be a pest either.
Right.
And I would imagine, I'm guessing, but for Gold Star families, I would think that it might be hard to trust people,
Very hard.
their intentions.
Yeah.
You know, mine are good, but I would imagine there's people out there that will try to profit off of their
Yes.
kids. You know, whether it's
It,
books or movies or
it happens quite a
I'm
bit.
not that guy.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And it does happen quite a bit. So,
mhm.
I mean, I personally know of one Gold Star family that I'm fairly close with here that they got taken advantage by someone that they actually thought they knew.
Mhm.
And the individual ended up taking all their life savings that they had saved up for their retirement.
Wow.
So, yeah, there's trust issues out there. So, and the sad fact is that there are people out there that do try and profit off the loss of our our servicemen and women. So, and that just eats right through me too. So,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. So,
I found there's a book out there. I think it's called The Abbey Gate or something like that. Some guy wrote a book, a novel about Abbey Gate, and there were 13 people that were killed, and he basically wrote a book about, you know, claiming it was their stories coming to life. Well, it's a total bullshit book. I don't know if I can, you know, what.
oh
But
yeah, absolutely. Let her fly. But
so he wrote this book about basically using them to try to profit. And I reached out to Shanna and I'm like, Shanna, did you see this? And so she got so mad. It was the anniversary of her son's, I think it was his birthday or something like that for Kareem. And she was so mad. She called this guy and she's bitching him out. And I'm texting her, you know,
right.
she's telling me he's saying that, you know, you know, he feels bad. I said, if he feels bad, he should be donated. Basically, I'm texting her what to say
Right.
to this guy,
Right.
firing her up even more. But yeah, I mean, there are people that want to profit off this, I would imagine.
Yep. Yeah.
And so I don't feel anything, you know, if somebody doesn't get back with me, you know.
Okay.
But
Well, that's good.
But hopefully they hear, hey, Joe Burdick is doing good things for our kid, and you know,
Yeah,
I'm
and you
not.
are. You are.
And,
I
and
mean,
and one of the things that I do is whenever I do something for the 13, unless my social media following, my business following, I have way more followers than my personal. So a lot of
right,
times I'll post what I've done on there. But whenever I do something for them, like my bill or my day of remembrance that I'm sure we'll talk about, I never do it as Burdick Custom Flags. I do it as
right,
Joe Burdick because
right,
I don't want people at all to say you're just trying to sell flags.
right,
I don't do that. Whatever
right,
I do, I don't even mention my business
right.
because I don't
So,
want to ever be accused of that.
right, I understand, and that's a good way to be. So, let's talk a little bit about the bill. You was lucky to meet two very nice ladies in the state legislature. And how did you go about meeting those?
So before I met them, I did a podcast with my friend and Congressman Max Miller a couple of years
Okay.
ago, and I told him, I said, Max, we need a national day of remembrance for the 13, and he agreed, and he also told me that nothing in the government happens quick.
No, it
So,
doesn't.
but he told me that he would work on it, and he actually this past August 26th, I got a text message from his office saying that he introduced a bill that day to make it a national day. But so that's also in the works. So it's about
Good.
once that gets through Congress, which they're not, our national government doesn't do anything.
Well, you got that
We'll
right.
have that as a national day. But so yeah, I got lucky last year. Early last year, I met Jane Timken in Canal Fulton at the Sam Center.
Okay.
And a friend of mine introduced me to her. I wanted her to. I know she's big, for the veterans. So I wanted to tell her about my idea for a bill.
Hmm.
And Jane was really busy and she was rushed around. And, I could tell that, she said, send me an email. And I did. But a couple of months later, I got invited. Max Miller, my congressman, he couldn't make it to the Lincoln Day dinner. And he asked me to stand in for and represent him at
Yeah.
the Lincoln Day dinner, which I gladly did.
Yep.
So I went to this Lincoln Day dinner. And then just by chance, I meet this woman, and I'll talk to anybody. And
I'm the same way.
yeah, so I met Christina Rogner. She's a state senator. She's not
Yes.
my state. I'm not in her
Right.
district.
All right.
But we
She's
just start
running for
treasurer,
treasurer now.
and she's
Yeah.
got my vote.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But so we start talking, and I tell her who I am, and I'm friends with Max Miller. So she takes a selfie of us and she sends it to Max with no words, and then Max responds back, "Joe is the best." And she's like, "Oh, Max obviously knows you." I'm like, "I'm telling you."
Right. Right.
So then I told her about my idea for the bill, and she says, "Wow, that's a really great idea. I want to do that for you." She's like, "Send me an email on Monday, and I'll get started on it right away." Well, politicians can say a lot, right?
Yes, they
So,
do.
so this was in, it might have been June last year,
Okay.
uh, May or June last year. And so I emailed her, and one of her aides got back to me, this guy, Trent. And Trent told me he's a former Marine and he's going to be working on it with me. And I was like, oh man, if a Marine is working, this is going to get done. It's going to get done, and it's going to get done quick. So I started working with Trent, and I told him what I wanted, and so he got back to me, and we a bill was drafted, and this is I like this part of the story too. So a bill got drafted right away, and but the bill only had Max Soviak's name on it, and it also had my name.
Right.
So I said, there's two things that need to be changed on this. I've never met Max, but I'm guessing he wouldn't want anything to do with this if it was just about him.
Right.
So he died with 13 of his brothers, or 12 of his brothers and sisters.
Right.
I said, all those names need to be on this bill, and my
Right.
name needs to be off it because it's not about me.
Exactly.
So, actually, one of the Gold Star dads told me when I told him that, he said that was one of the most selfless things he's ever heard, especially when it comes to those 13.
Right.
And so then the bill was drafted with all 13 names. Yeah, that's how it all started. So I do a day of remembrance. I've done it for the last 2 years in Seven Hills. And I invite the community. I invite active duty military. I invite veterans, politicians. Max Miller came and said some beautiful words in the first year, and there's been some great speakers. Well, this past year, Christina Rogner came. I kept it quiet. I kept the bill quiet.
Okay.
Christina Rogner came and she spoke and she told everybody how she introduced the bill to make August 26th a state day of remembrance.
Right.
And people were shocked. They had no idea. Now, for the last 2 years, I've had members of the Soviak family in attendance. They knew that it was coming.
Right.
But until it actually happens, it's a lot of people just think it's just a politician talking.
Right. And I would have done the same thing. I wouldn't have told anybody.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you don't know until it's done.
Yeah.
That's just the way politics work.
Yeah.
So, why get everybody's hopes up?
Yeah. No, that's exactly how it was. And then when she came and announced it, though, it was, I got a lot of great feedback from people, especially the Gold Star families.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, then fast forward, it really started rolling around October, November, went through the Senate, the military, the different committees. It went through a couple of committees, and then the Senate voted on it 33-0 to send it to the House. And then the government was basically off until like January or something.
Oh yeah, they take long vacations.
Yeah, January or February, whatever it was. So there's just this long waiting period, and I'm like,
Right.
when's this gonna happen? And then finally, once the House got back into session, it went through, I think, 3 committees, and then I went down to Columbus. They asked me if I would go down and give proponent testimony, and I went down there in front of committee in the House, and I gave a speech, and that was my first time ever doing that. Addressing.
I actually saw the footage of that, so you did a good job. Yeah.
Well, it was easy just reading off a piece of paper, but
right.
but I was ready for them to ask me questions, and I was actually surprised and disappointed. None of them did, but
right.
But I did hear that every single one of them was paying attention to me when I was talking. So I was told that a lot of times they're not even really paying attention, but
right.
But yeah, so and then it passed through the House 94-0, which, totally bipartisan. You can't get 94 people of different political opinions to agree on anything.
That's correct.
You can't even get. I couldn't even get my entire family to agree with everything, but it passed through the House 94-0, and then it had to go back. Senate Bill 244 had to go back to the Senate because
they did an amendment.
I'm sorry.
I said they did an amendment, right?
Yeah, and it was a good one too. They added the branches of service.
The branch, right?
Yeah. So then it had to go back for a concurrence vote, and
right.
then that we all knew it was going to pass. So
right.
Then later that week or the next week, Christy Rogner called me and she said, "Hey, just so you know, I need you down in Columbus on Tuesday." And this was already Friday.
Right.
With almost no notice. She's like, "I need you down there, and the governor's going to sign the bill."
Nice.
And so the Soviak family went down there with me, and there was a 2-star general in there. A lot more people than I thought. But
right.
Yeah, my little bill got signed into law, and it's kind of cool that I created a holiday.
Right.
But we still have to go to work on that. Well, I'm not going to go to work. I figure if I created a holiday, I'm not going to work on it. But
right.
But Yeah,
It'll be
I
a
did it.
state recognized holiday. So
Yeah, I did it for not just the 13 that that died. I did it
right,
for the people that were also there and
right,
their friends and family because it's
right,
already a day of remembrance for everybody that survived. So I
right.
did this to officially recognize that sacrifice, and it actually made Ohio the first state in the country to officially recognize the sacrifices of those 13, which is pathetic that it's going on 5 years, and
Yes,
it took
I would agree.
Joe Schmo in Seven Hills, Ohio, to do this.
Right. So, but not only that, another thing that this bill does is it preserves the names of those 13 from now on.
Mm-hmm.
And our future children are going to know those people. They're going to know those names
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to say, well, this is a holiday. What's it for? What's it about? Who are these people? So hopefully it'll be an educational, asset as well. So,
Yeah, that's my hope. I mean,
yeah,
I've had people say to me, well, they already have their day. It's called Memorial Day. And I look at them and I'm like, you know what? You're an asshole.
right,
I hope you never have to send your kid off to war and they don't come home,
right,
because like I told the committee, when I went down there, when we sign up for the military, we're not afraid of dying, but
right,
we're afraid of being forgotten if we die. I mean,
right.
that would be the most horrible thing in the world. I'm a big believer that a service member dies twice.
Yeah,
When their heart stops beating and the last time their name is ever spoken.
right,
So, I want to know about Gold Star family, a service member that didn't make it home.
right.
I want to be able to say their name. So, maybe they're up there and they hear their name spoken and they're like, that I don't know, it makes them feel good, or, I don't know what it make them feel, but I want to know stories because
Right.
I always say we can't promise to never forget if we don't
That's
learn their
true.
name or we
That's
don't
true.
learn their story, because if we don't, then we've already forgotten. Those are
That's
just
true.
words,
That's true.
I
And
want to know who Jared Schmitz was, or, I've got this
right,
painting back here. That's Max Soviak. I mean, when a lot of these 13, all I really know is their name,
right,
but I got to know Jared Schmitz. I got
right,
to know, I've gotten to know Max Soviak. I've gotten to know Kareem Nakui and Dylan Marola. And,
right.
it makes
And
me feel good. And, I want to know who your son was too.
okay, sure.
I mean,
So
you've sent me some stuff and I've read it.
right,
So,
yeah.
and I've said your
So
son's name out loud. So,
well, I
you know,
appreciate that.
yeah, well,
I
I
do
appreciate
appreciate
what he
that.
did.
Well, that means a lot to me. Trust me. So, all right. Well, before I let you go, I know that you're busy and you got a lot going on, but is there anything else that you'd like to bring up or talk about?
Well, I think people should definitely take every opportunity to not just on Memorial Day, but when people see a veteran, they see somebody wearing a hat, from a campaign or
Right.
a branch of service. They should thank him. I mean, I do a
Oh, I
lot of
do
times.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll do it, and I mean, I do it every time I see somebody, but I rarely tell them that I'm also a veteran.
Right.
Probably half the time they'll ask me if I'm a veteran,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, we need to be better people. We need to be, and
I agree.
what I always say is we need to live a life worth dying for, right?
That's true. That's
If
very
we
true.
walk around and we're assholes to our neighbors or to strangers, um, I'm guessing your son, would be like, hey, you know what? I'll trade places with you.
Right.
you know,
Yeah. Right.
you know, if we're not living a life worth his sacrifice, why did he sacrifice his life?
I appreciate that. I really do.
But we need to all think about that, not just, and even when people start talking about like politics and they act like complete idiots. You
Oh,
know,
yeah. Yeah.
you just try to be better people, help a veteran. You see some veteran that's getting mistreated or whatever, help them. I mean,
Oh,
hell,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
went to my first protest this past week because a woman up here in Parma, Ohio, she got activated. She's in the reserve. She got
Okay.
activated, and she's on deployment, and the Parma City School Board wants to kick her off the school board.
You got to be shitting me.
No, they're a bunch of woke. I don't know. They don't like her, and she's in the military. So a bunch of us people, veterans and pro-military people, went
Right.
up there,
Well,
and
good for you.
I was very happy that nobody acted like an idiot.
Right.
We were just showing our support. But I ended up on the news and on the front page of their website, and I'm like, the first friggin' protest I ever go to in my life. I'm front and center. My phone's blowing up. Hey, I saw you on the news last
Right.
night. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we have to do, we have to look out for our veterans and
Right.
our Gold Star families. And, it's important I would imagine that it's important for you to hear thank you for your son's sacrifice,
It does. It really does. But yeah, I've gotten a habit myself over the last few years, like you said, you're out somewhere and you see a veteran with a cap on or something, and you go up and you thank them. I've had, friends of mine that are veterans that say, you know what, people come up to me all the time and thank me for my service. He said, yeah, I really don't like that. And I never did understand that. So I've gotten in the habit here since then. If I run into somebody out like that, I'll go up to them and I'll thank them, but I thank them for my freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a little twist on it, but okay.
I met a Navy SEAL a couple years ago at the Patriot Ball, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey, thanks for your service." And he told me, "You're worth it." And I thought it was weird
Right.
because I'd never heard that before. But
Yep.
I looked at him, I said, "Man, I hope so." And he's like, "You are." And I'm like, I mean, I really hope that I am, but
Right.
yeah, just I don't know. We all need to do better for
Right.
our veterans, and
Absolutely.
so
And I'm doing everything that I can to try and help them. So,
yep. And
you-
that's why I do what I do. It's
oh, me too.
I
Yeah.
started my podcast, but even more than that, the podcast is to share the stories of the veterans and, the things that I do on for my flags. I raise a lot of money.
Right.
I like that I'm a veteran. And a lot of times too, when people thank me for my service,
Right.
I kind of want to tell them, I thank you for my service,
Right.
because I got to play with some pretty cool shit when I was in the
Oh,
Navy.
yeah. Right.
I got to work on F-18s. I got to travel the world. By the time I was 22 years old, I had seen it and done it. And that's not just some bumper sticker. I mean,
Right.
the stuff I did in I should be thanking America for letting me do those things. So,
Oh, I
but
understand.
I never had anybody pointing weapons at me. I'm not a combat veteran. So
Right.
sometimes I feel guilty that I'm not, but I also remind myself, well, you did sign up. So
Right. Exactly.
there was,
Exactly.
I worked on a flight deck on an aircraft carrier. I could have died any one of the days that I was up there.
Right. Well, all right. I'm going to go ahead and end this because my battery just died. So.
It's 15/2010. It's approximately 18:30 in the evening here at Forward Operating Base Forest. Please tell me your name and your rank, sir.
My name's Corporal Jimmy Robinson.
Congratulations, you just got promoted here. First time being promoted away from the States?
No, I got promoted to PFC during my first deployment.
So this is your second deployment, is that right?
Actually, my third.
Your third. First one in Afghanistan?
Yeah, I've done 2 in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan.
All right, tell me, what's your job?
Good job. I'm a fire team leader, Alpha team leader under Sergeant Riley.
And how old are you, sir?
27.
How long you been in the Army?
I've been in a little bit over 5 years.
Where do you hail from?
Originally from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Home of the Bengals, is that right?
That's right.
I was speaking with Sergeant Riley earlier, and he spoke quite highly of you. You guys look like you have a really tight group here.
Yeah, it's we're all really close. We're all pretty good friends across the board.
You have family back home?
Yeah, I've got a wife and 2 kids back at Fort Campbell.
Congratulations, and their names?
Thank you. My wife's name's Kate, and my oldest daughter is Emily, and the youngest is Tori.
Anything you want to say to them?
I love you guys. I miss you.
Very good. Corporal Robinson, congratulations on your promotion.
All right, thank you very much.
And be safe out here.
I'll try.
This is Jim Sperry, August 15, 2010, at the promotion of Corporal Robinson. Corporal, what's your first name again?
It's Jimmy.
Jimmy. That's an easy name to remember. My name's Jim.
It works, huh?
All right, roger that, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Congratulations.